So I had twins 2 years ago. They were here earlier, actually. And I had a very interesting birth experience. And Philippa was the obstetrician in the birth experience. And in fact, you feature in some of the photos that are on there.
I was very distracted by the back of my head, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, fabulous.
And I'd had a very traumatic first birth experience where I felt very lacking in control. So I took this piece of fabric in to the room, and the room was probably, I mean, you have a better idea of this, Philippa, in my memory it's about the size of this room. And the bed is about here in the room, and I suspended my fabric about the end of the table. And then you can see some of the photographs on the wall of us behind the fabric. And even though there were a significant number of people in the room because the twins were premature, and plus it was a high-risk birth because I had a scarred uterus. So there was that photograph second down from the left with Chinar. Can you just point? And I'll say, yeah, that's it. Up. That one. That's the number of people that are actually in the room. But my experience was really quite private because it was just Philippa and the midwife, whose name was Vivian, I think, and me and the doula and my husband. So even though it was a really potentially quite frightening situation, this physically very light and easy and small intervention made a massive psychological difference to my experience. I don't know how it felt to everybody else in the room. I think Colin enjoyed it, and it was a very intimate experience for me, even though it had this quality of highly medicalised and loads of people. And then the second part of the birth, the second twin, was a C-section, and that's a completely different space. And again, the spatial qualities of that are something that I've never heard discussed by any architect in any scenario. That's not what architects really consider. But one of my most powerful recollections is that the sheet, which prevents you from seeing yourself being eviscerated, was slightly leaning onto my face. So actually, a huge amount of my spatial experience of that was having a piece of fabric sort of leaning on my face. And of course, in the grand scheme of my health, that's not the most important thing, but actually in my recollection, that's what stuck. So this is the foundation of this project. How do these small little things actually really impact people's long-term recollection and experience of what they've been through? And for me, it's from the perspective of the birthing person, but of course from everyone else or many other practitioners in this room, you've got other very different perspectives. And then Ben and Emily and I had conversations about this topic, and they'll explain more about the philosophical side. But there are so many underexplored links between philosophical, ethical questions and spatial questions, and those two things are really intimately connected. So we're really excited to be able to explore that in more depth.